working from home gives us a lot of opportunity, more projects because we're hitting the deadline.
It really depends on the situation, the personality. If this is something that they can focus at home, they have that quiet space, they have that meditation that they can do.
That is the biggest reason when it comes to productivity, less stress when it comes to commute.
It's really about time management and how well you know what are the tasks that you need to finish.
Welcome to BPO Bytes. This is our first episode. My name is Erwin. I'm a business development manager for FMSS.
And I'm Nikki Del Pilar, the Business Development Manager for Lifelines International.
And I'm Saiza Maza from Asperger Database Builder.
Now, normally when you see podcasts about business, the guests are CEOs, upper management. But we wanted to set up something wherein you get a slice of life or opinions and ideas from the people in ops, people working on the ground, and get a vibe on what the status of the industry is and basically day-to-day life. So our topic for today would be work setup. It's very prevalent and I think it's on everyone's mind. How would you say the work setup, whether it's remote, hybrid, has impacted productivity, at least in your field? Also, you could get into your line of business.
So good morning, everyone. So first, again, if we're going to fall back on commuting, we don't have to commute, so less stress from the environment, I guess. It helps a lot. When it comes to productivity, I think it's easier. On my part, on my experience, it's easier for me to work if I'm comfortable with my environment. If I work with my own home, with my own safe house or safe environment. So I guess for me, it increased a lot of when it comes to productivity. I am more focused, and based on the team effort that we have, it's easier for us to discuss things in that kind of setting. I don't know why it's been like 3 years now. Me being part of the Asperger and working from home gives us a lot of opportunity. More projects because we're hitting the deadline. Maybe because we don't have that too much stress going to office, and I think that is the biggest reason when it comes to productivity, less stress when it comes to commuting.
When you started, you were already work from home? So from the very beginning?
From Asperger, yes.
Okay. And that was like 3 years ago.
3 years ago, 2022.
And we were talking earlier, and and I understand what you're saying in that you mentioned that one of the first things you do when you wake up is meditate and center yourself.
Oh, yes. Slow morning for sure.
You like to start the morning quiet and then work your way up to your work shift, which I don't think would be feasible if you worked on site because I need to get to work, right? Once you're at work, you're already at work. There's no time for that.
I think we can add that. That's why we're very productive because we have a very slow morning. I know it's a gift for me. I hope everyone can experience that, of course, but not everyone have the luxury to work from home. So having a slow morning really gives me a direction on how I want my day to happen.
Funny because when we talk, I noticed that I work on site most of the time, and we have essentially the opposite rhythm. In that I start my day very quickly because I need to get to work. I leave very early because I don't want to have to deal with traffic. But all of that quiet and centering and meditation, I do when I get home. In fact, I've realized, I mentioned this earlier, I have trouble sleeping if I don't do that. It's like the energy and all of the rhythm of the day just keeps going even though I'm home. And I need that moment to myself to kind of slow everything down in my head. Nikki, have you ever?
Okay, so can I have an opposing view?
Okay. Of course.
Okay, so that's the thing. So during the pandemic, I was able to experience remote work also. But I don't know if it's like an individual thing. Like, for example, like I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. So even if you have a space at home that you know this is your workspace, when there's that, like, you hear the outside world having the commotion that they normally have, there's just that uneasiness that, you have to deal with that. And then I think during that time we were also homeschooling. So to be honest, it was very difficult, but I admire people who really can focus and function fully at home. And then when I see a couch, like it will give me time to rest. But at the end of the day, my point of view, can I say that, is I feel that it really depends on the situation, the personality, I would say, of the person also. Like, if this is something that they can focus at home, like they have that quiet space, they have that meditation that they can do, right? And then, at least for me right now, we are looking at like a business that deals daily with people. And so, how do we get to interview candidates? How do we get to get application if we will not be in the office? But dealing with the setting up or focusing in a workspace, I agree, Norm. I'm not a morning person, but over time I learned that if I go to work early, I get to accomplish more in the morning. And then I think that's the same if you work at home, in a sense that you know that you have that timeline to do your job, and then time passes by quickly. So at the end of the day, whether you're working from home or you're working in the office, my take is that it's really about time management, because in the office you have these like meetings, right, that you do not get to finish what you have to finish. And so, for example, for me, in a week, I make sure that normally they would say manic Mondays, right? But for me, I leave my Mondays like the calmest, the most calm day of the week, because I don't want to have a very hectic week I have very hectic day to start the week. So it's really about time management, I would say, and how well you know what are the tasks that you need to finish.
Yeah, I forgot.
Is that correct?
Yeah, of course. And also, I forgot to say a little background on our work. It's very technical on the IT side. So we're on more an output basis. So that's why I guess it really works on our end to be on just on, one sitting. And
Right.
the difference in our work is we don't have client. We don't face client on a daily basis. We have meetings probably once every quarter.
Okay.
So,
yes.
and
Agree.
the difference again, I live by myself. I have my own space for myself. That's
Very
why it
independent.
works for me very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I understand your I can only empathize or sympathize with your situation. I guess it's very difficult when you're a mom. And even though you have again your space for work, and then you hear your kids, I guess there's a mom bulb. I have to go out. I have to check. I have to do that.
So I think one thing that I also like, for example, for us, right? Like having a remote setup is being explored, but it's about the capability of, let's say, measuring the productivity of the people. So I believe, at least in the BPO industry, there's already a way, to measure that, right? But then for I would say traditional businesses or industries, right? Like, for example, a recruitment agency. How do you measure that a person, for example, doing sourcing and recruitment, and not doing like mass sourcing or mass recruitment, but on specific industries? How will you be able to measure or benchmark the productivity of that person? And it's about the tools that you use, the how it is applicable to the business that you're operating.
Since you are 100% work from home, how do you keep your people engaged? How do you think it affects turnover?
Actually, I have a very good team. I have a very great team. We have huddles.
I'm sure you're not just saying that.
You can ask them for sure. We have huddles every Monday. We talk about our weekends because we don't. That's what you do when you're in office. Kamusta weekend mo? Like that. So we do that every Monday. We talk about that. And then we discuss some personal issues that we can help each other. So we are intact even though we work remotely and we don't see each other from time to time. And sometimes we set a date once every quarter just to have lunch or a mini team building. So we're engaged even though we're far from each other. And I believe the morale is very high. Even it depends on the team. It depends on the people if they wanted to. Because I don't want to speak ill, but there are some groups or personalities that they really don't want to engage.
Yeah.
They just want to do their work and then that's it.
Yes.
That's it. And then I think that's very sad. Like you isolate a lot.
I think even on a non-remote setup,
Yes, that's true.
you have those individuals. But you can only do so much, right? So you can try to reach out, and then at the end of the day, it's up to them.
Yeah, and
As
maybe
long as they hit their goals, hey.
That's true.
and I guess that's I'm just very different in that way. I'm extrovert and introvert at the same time. Ambivert. So when it comes to my team, I made sure that in this time, like 8:30 to 9, we will talk. No one will shut down or anything. We'll just talk. He'll tell me what happened. Like, hindi pwedeng, oh, we just stay at home and watch. No, tell me, what did you watch? What did you do? Do you engage with your family? Do you spend time with your family? Because I believe that's where they realize, oh, I did something good this weekend. And I want to engage in that level with the team that I work with. I want them to feel still, part of something, even though we're, scattered around the Philippines.
Funny because we eventually transitioned to full work from home. And my team, because of that, it gave a chance for my team, for part of my team to be in Cebu. So half my team, I had a team of 10, 5 were in Manila, 5 were in Cebu. And so obviously I wanted to have I wanted to go out with them. So how do I go out with the Cebu folks? So what we did was we would set up, okay, let's go drink, let's have dinner. We would have a synchronized dinner.
Okay.
The people in Manila would go somewhere with me, and then the people in Cebu, I would send a budget, and they would also go somewhere in Cebu, and then we would live stream each other
Yes.
during the. So technically we could still talk to each other during the dinner.
Oh, we
and
did that
we're
last
still
Valentine's.
Yeah, it's
I remember
fun.
during
You gotta
pandemic
get creative.
there was this term, right, like e-numan. So it's like a drinking session,
But
but
you're
it's
at home.
done digitally.
Yeah.
So so for example, you just have, let's say, one Friday, you have you have a theme, if it's Korean, if it's Italian, but then everyone will have a drink. So I think one thing that I've learned over the pandemic is that when you're doing that remote bonding, you're bonding remotely with your team, it makes them more comfortable, more open to really exposing themselves. And so when you see each other personally, it's like you had only seen each other for once every quarter, but then you grew to
It's
be
different,
very
yes.
close over time, because there are a lot of things that you can say when you're virtually present rather than having it on a face-to-face situation.
I believe it will work 100% if that's your intention. If it's your
Yes.
intention for it to work.
Correct.
And if you are back up with your management, okay, go ahead, do that. It's
You
okay.
have the
do that.
support.
You have the support. You have the
Yes.
right support for it. It's
Yes.
gonna work to
Yes.
100%.
With that in mind, how can somebody who's working from home stand out? Let's say I'm angling for a promotion. I want to be noticed.
Be
I'm guessing it would
proactive for sure.
Yeah.
Be proactive.
Yes. So but obviously if you're working from home, all they kind of see is your output. So it cuts out your personality, how amicable you are in person, how there are
charming.
your charm, which is very also important in the office. All right. Sorry, I segue, but what a comedian once said that his best defense is that every person I've ever worked with would work with me again. Can you say the same? Because he was having a beef with another comedian who was famous for being kind of a drama.
I see.
For being drama. So amicability is a quality that people
Yeah.
want. Every person, every club owner, every person I've worked with will work with me again.
Yeah.
Will be happy to work with me again. He can't say the same.
Yes.
Um,
So how you do that if you're doing it?
if you're doing it from home. So
Yeah.
how do you think a person can stand out? Let's say one of your team wants basically to be in your position in the future. What can he do to stand out if he's working from home?
Oh, that's very interesting. I think what works for me is you just have to be 100% honest with what you do. Because your manager or your bosses can see you, so you have to practice your integrity 100%. Because that's what you do when you work from home. I think one that works for us is the macro management. I think we practiced our integrity a lot, and I think it resonates with how our client and our principal talks about our work ethic, and that's what our management or the bosses heard or hears. So our work speaks for ourselves. So even though, of course, we don't go to the office, we
So
don't
you've never
have
felt
the charm or
disconnected
everything.
from the rest of the company?
Not at all.
Not at all.
On our team, we make sure, or I made sure that we join all the trainings that available online. And if there's a lot of programs or outreach that we could join, we do that. It's in your intention. What type of work life balance do you want? Do you just want to be a stagnant employee and just sit around and work there, or you want to engage to other people and to your career as well? You can't be charming or have a good or stand out just sitting around. You just have to be you need to be proactive. You need to ask a lot. Don't be afraid to ask. Is there an opening here? Is there a way for me to grow in this industry? Is there a study that we can do, trainings and seminars and do? And I think there's a stigma that when you work from home, there's nothing left for you.
That's true.
There's that.
Yes.
But it's not true.
Okay.
Because on my experience, I started this on my department. I'm just by myself.
Okay.
And it's just a project based. And then eventually we got the client. And then the team grew bigger. You know, the stigma of that you just do your work and then you're done. There's nothing else there, and it's not true.
Do you even reach out? Like, I noticed that some of the most productive people I know, in my team at least, were also the most toxic. It's like they funnel that toxicity into their work. So I have that dilemma now that do I make them less toxic?
All of it?
What kind of toxicity?
They're unfriends. They're not amicable. They're literally people do not
Saisa
like.
is thinking, I'm productive.
Do not like. They're,
So am I toxic?
what is the opposite of charm?
Disgust.
No, this guy. You don't like being around them because they're kind of like
Annoying.
Yes, but when
Bad
it comes to
juju.
work, their productivity, their output is incredible because they that's all they focus on. They don't like being. They're not.
So they're
nice
not a
to-
team
Player.
They're not a team player.
player.
You give them a task, they will do it and exceed it. So I'm tempted to say, okay, you're doing great. Like if we were to just look at numbers,
What about the root of it? Why are they like that? I mean, they engage.
They
They have
they're probably-
traumas.
Exactly.
It's usually like that. Their family life isn't great.
So there's that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of negativity that in their personal life that goes there, and they cut everything out except work.
Oh, I remember I have this one. I know someone. The family is not good. The environment is not good, and I was like, why not stay on my place? I have a space. Stay on my place. You need.
You offered?
I
To your
offered my
home?
place. Yes.
That's very trusting
generous.
of you.
Do you need a breather? Just
I'm assuming this is not a dude.
oh, it's not a dude. Okay. It's not a dude. Like, do you need a breather? Just come to Lipa.
What happened?
Eventually, what she did is find a new apartment.
So it was their living environment.
Yeah,
their
it's the
family
environment.
probably.
So you just have to support them as well. What do you need? You ask them, what do you need? What support can I offer you? Though it's not financial. Is there anything on my end that I can
A
offer
place
you?
to live is incredible, by the way. And
Yeah.
I commend you on offering. that.
Offering.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's just because I have a space, I guess.
The fact that you would trust somebody to live in your
Oh,
house.
good for
Have
me.
you been working with her like for quite a while?
Yes.
Okay. I see.
Oh, no. No, I spilled something.
But still, I mean, that's very generous.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. Or not unless
Because
like
it
a
affects
very-
the work.
That's true.
That's
true.
the difference. Dun sa tao mo,
Yeah.
she or he is performing well even though the environment is not good.
I think she's performing well because the environment isn't good.
Isn't
Yeah.
good. Then
Yeah.
on my end,
So,
the environment isn't good and the
Performance
performance
also is not
getting
good.
low.
I
It's
see.
the opposite.
It's the
I
opposite.
see. I see.
But on your end, what you can do is ask, what can I help you with?
Probably that's just the type of person.
Because there's
that,
something
that
I can
person
help you
is.
with.
No, what I ended up doing was giving her tasks that played to her strengths, meaning that, okay, if you're not really a team person and you're not very sociable, I'll give you tasks that you can do on your own.
On your own.
And she
yeah.
did exceedingly well.
Yeah, yeah.
But I knowingly did that you just don't get along with people. Even if
And then I think
I
that's
don't-
okay.
Yes, for sure.
it's just a thing. And you choose to do that. And she's accepted that she's that way and will never change.
Okay.
It's like
So at
this
least
is-
there's acceptance.
yeah. And to her, like
But
like we
sometimes it's
talked about
frustrating,
before,
right?
work is work. Like you do not exist outside of work. How do you think our work setup, speaking from somebody who works on site and somebody who works from home, how do you think? What do you see in the future? How do you think these things will evolve, or do you think the way things are now will probably remain for the foreseeable future?
Few years back, the English tutors, they're
Online,
all
they can
online.
only-
There's a lot
yeah,
of
that's true.
instructors and teachers online, so it's
Yes.
doable. Banking doable.
Yeah.
Pandemic virtual doctor.
Yes,
It's possible,
right. Teleconsult.
right? Teleconsult. Until now, it's possible.
It's actually safer, especially during COVID.
Correct.
You weren't gonna
You're not
be-
exposing
you're not
yourself.
So when it comes to the first for the future, the foreseeable future, I think working from home is gonna be one of the top available for everyone. Imagine you don't have to pay for your office space. You don't have to pay for the maintenance. You just have to buy a laptop for your employee and that's it. You need to pay for their internet, it's like 2,000 a month. Compare if you're going to pay an enterprise connection. Like it's a lot. Imagine the carbon footprint you're going to. Wow. We're on carbon
That's
footprint
true.
now, right?
But that's true.
That's-
yes. Correct.
That's the future.
I also think that in order for that to really happen, you really need government support. And what I say is, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but one of the reasons why a lot of companies don't go full work from home is that currently there is a law that prohibits it. Meaning that if you own a business, a certain percentage of that business needs to report to the office. It is mandated by law. If you don't hit that percentage, you are fined monthly.
But probably for me, just going back to your, at the end of the day, number one is that it really depends on the business. If it's really something that, the type of work, like for example, for me, I really have to talk to people. But of course, there are times wherein you can do like your work at home, then a hybrid setup is preferable for me. But at the end of the day, I'm also the type that I feel less energy when I'm not talking to people. So there has to be a time that I have to go out and socialize. And so I feel that I don't improve if I don't learn from people and then talking to other people also. So I think the considerations there will be the current, let's say, status, like if the person is single, if the person already has a family, the type of business that
My takeaway would be the type of work that you do.
the type of work that
Your
you
question
do. Yes.
a while ago is what like my job right now.
Yes, correct. So
I'll do it.
So that's
Hybrid.
online, right? And then, of course, apart from the two, it also has to match like the personality of the person, I would say. So these are the things that, because at the end of the day, you have to explore and see what will work for you, right? The best option that you have. Of course, considering the pay also, is it something that is going to affect your decision? And these are the things that a person needs to know whether or not this is really something for them. That's just my.
So, what do you think, or what have you tried and found out is the best setup for work from home?
Okay, for me, I guess big task. That's for sure. If you have two monitors, that's very great. A good chair because you're going to work for the whole day. I think that's a good one. And for me, I work with good music, so speaker or headset. And my ideal, of course, I wanted to have an office for sure at home because I just work on our living room. So it's just there. And don't work near your bedroom or in your room because I don't think that's very good practice. So work away from your room. If you have a very small space or just find a space for yourself just to do work, nothing else. And then forget about that space when it's Friday afternoon until Sunday evening. And then remember it again on a Monday. And then that's work. So you just have to what you call that, detach yourself from your workspace. It works. And then attach yourself again and make sure it's clean for sure.
So, for those companies looking to do any outsourcing in the Philippines, as you may or may not know, is an archipelago. We are currently, I would say, the best place to do outsourcing. The work from home, we've gotten the work from home setup down. Meaning that although we are an archipelago, our infrastructure and technology have been wired in such a way that we can provide stable internet and power access in almost any location in the Philippines. The Philippines is really the way to be.